Hello there, welcome. My name's Simon from CramTheExam, and it's the beginning of week 3 of our 12-week preparation course to get you ready for your FCE, CAE or Matura Advanced exam. On week 3 today, we're going to have a look at reviews for both the FCE and the CAE. So if you want to find out how best to prepare for the review question, then keep on watching. Okay, so let's go through the basics first of all. As always, I shouldn't have to say this, but I will anyhow, make sure you read through the question that you're going to do properly and underline the most important bits. So in other words, you've got to know who you're writing to and what you have to include in your answer. Now, who you're writing to is important because if you know who you're writing to, then you know what kind of register you have to use, whether it's formal, informal, or neutral. And that's important because if you answer the question using in the wrong register, you're going to lose points. So make sure you know who you're writing to and make sure you know what you've got to include. Plan, learn the structure. Reviews have a very straightforward paragraph structure. First introduction, first paragraph, second paragraph, third paragraph, conclusion, just like the essay. So make sure you know what the structure is and make sure you know the kind of vocabulary that goes in each section. We'll have a look at that in more detail as we go through some websites which give you some advice about how to do the review. You're going to have to use language of description. So you're going to have great knowledge of adverbs which modify verbs and adjectives which modify nouns. Good, bad, interesting, boring will not be enough at this level. You're going to have a nice range of synonyms and antonyms in your head, nice ways of expressing things, and you can only do that by practicing. And you're going to have vocabulary of opinion. So whether this is in the form of a recommendation or whether it's in the form of an evaluation, you're going to have that vocabulary in place and have it well practiced to make sure when you're doing the exam, it goes quickly and naturally and makes sense. With the basics out of the way, I don't want to reinvent the wheel telling you what's already written on fantastic websites. I'll just take you to the fantastic websites. And this is one of them, EnglishExamHelp.com. This is a great website for explaining how the structure of writing exercises work. What you've got here is an example question, and then you've got a sample answer. Here we go. Now, the elements of the sample answer are broken up by these blue boxes, which tell you the structure of how you should be answering the question and the type of vocabulary you should be using as well, all the way through the answer. As you can see there, lots of blue boxes, lots of information, and then it's got some sample questions that you can try if you wish. The way that the information this website displays this information is really useful, and if you read this website or this page in depth and learn the vocabulary and take away the rules, you will put yourself in a great position to get the highest possible marks in your writing if you do the review question. And also above my head, you'll see that there's 5 great real-life tips about how to get good marks in the review for the CAE. Now, this is RubenValero.com. I'm a huge fan of Ruben Valero's this website. I use it a lot on CramTheExam, and the reason why, let me scroll to the top, is because of this green box. Because this green box sets out exactly what the question is about. So, a review is usually written for an English language magazine, newspaper, or website. So, usually you have to use an informal or neutral register. But be careful, make sure you know who your target reader is. Now, the main purpose is to describe and express a personal opinion about something which the writer has experienced. So, lots of language like I thought, I think, in my experience, I. You're giving your opinion because you are the writer, of course. And you're giving the reader a clear impression of what the item discussed is like. So you're describing it and giving your opinion. Description, explanation, this Description, let me just highlight that, maybe the other way around. Description and explanation are key functions for this task, and a review will normally include a recommendation to the reader. So this is what the FCE the question is all about. What you think, how you explain it, and a recommendation at the end. This the previous website, EnglishExamHelp.com, goes into a little bit more detail about the structure, but we still see that structure repeated here. It's a good idea to give your review an interesting title. Yes, it is. I recommend it. In the first paragraph, say what you are reviewing and try to get the reader's interest. In the second paragraph, give your opinion of what you're reviewing linked to the question. Always going back to the question, which is why underlining is so important. Remember, a review is not just a list of facts, it's largely your opinion. So this is what I said a few seconds ago. Plenty of I think, while using a much wider range of vocabulary than that. Give more details of what you're reviewing linked to the questions in the input in 1 or 2 more paragraphs, but only focus on those you've been asked to develop. So don't go off and talk about whatever you want to talk about. Make sure what you're writing about links back to what you've been asked to do. And then in the final paragraph, summarize your view and include a recommendation. Now, of course, some more hints here. Show a range of structures, goes without saying. Using present simple all of the time is not good enough. You've got to go through the 4 forms. If you can throw in passive as well, if you can throw in conditional forms, use them as much as you can. Add vivid language, adjectives, adverbs, language of description. And you've got here plenty of useful language for a review, broken down into section. And as you can see here, films, exhibitions, concerts, and so on, so on. So there's plenty of vocab for you to look at and consume and then start to use when you practice your writing. And the good thing about this as well, you've got model questions and model answers. So you can see what a good review answer looks like in practice. Okay, now on to the CAE and back to Ruben Valero one more time. For the CAE, a review may be about a book, magazine, film, play or concert. Okay, same as the FCE. It might also be about a product or service. Okay. Now, here's the key bit. A review in the Cambridge English Advanced Writing paper does not merely ask for a general description of the thing reviewed, so the focus is not the same as the FCE, but requires an evaluation of its suitability for a particular purpose or audience. And the question will tell you what the purpose or audience is. So an evaluation of its suitability. So here you've got to weigh up the pros and the cons, a bit like the essay question, and give your opinion. And then see whether it applies to that purpose or audience in a good way or in a bad way. So this question is a little bit more complex than the FCE question. It's important to highlight this, that it's not just a description. If you just describe at the level of CAE, you will lose marks. So it's not about description. The target reader is specified in the task, and the candidate should be encouraged to use this information when choosing appropriate ideas and language to include in their response. So as I said, you've got to make sure you know who the target reader is for CAE and make sure that your answer fits the language profile that suits that reader. So for the FCE, more than likely it's going to be informal or neutral, whereas for the CAE review, it might be anyone, all the way from informal all the way up to formal. So just make sure you know who you're writing to. And this website, once again, it goes through the structure briefly, and then there's a whole range of vocabulary for you to look at, absorb, and learn, and some model questions and answers as well. The final page I want you to have a look at is this EngExam info. I use this webpage a lot for CramTheExam, particularly because of the detail it goes to when talking about structure. So when you're planning your answer, really make sure you read this before you start planning process or before you start writing the review, because this is really a step-by-step guide to how you should do the review. What comes first, then what, then what, then what. It makes it really, really easy for you. And not only that, you've got a model answer as well based on that information. So if you take 10-15 minutes of your time, read through this, absorb what it's trying to tell you, and come back to this website every now and again just to have a look at the structures, just to make sure you're going on the right road when it comes to planning and structuring your writing answers. One little caveat is that I think ingexam.info was made for the CAE exam before 2015. After 2015, the exam changed slightly, so some information, for example here, might be a little bit out of date or not applicable to the 2018 exam, but the advice about how to answer the question is still relevant and is still valid, so I recommend that you read it for that information. So with all of that being said, with all of that information I've just thrown at you, with all of those websites, take all of that information into your head and use it to answer these questions over here. So this is the writing task I'd like you to do today. So if you've got any of these textbooks, Gold First, First Expert, ready for First, Gold Advanced, Advanced Expert, or ready for Advanced, do this exercise, and if you've joined up to CramTheExam, you can send me the exercise. I will mark it for you and I will get it back to you with plenty of positive and constructive criticism about how you can improve and go forward. There is, of course, a free exam task in the video description below, but unfortunately I'm not in a position to mark all of those for you. I can only give feedback to writing exercises through CramTheExam. So if you don't know what CramTheExam is all about, it's a website where I've got loads of videos about how to answer the exam questions in the 6 course books that you can see above my head. And if you pay 30 zloty to get 31 days access, you get access to the whole range of videos, the hundreds and hundreds of videos that I've done which go through the exam questions. 7 to 8 euros if you're in Euroland, 30 zlotys in Poland. If you want 3 months access, you get a fantastic deal because you only get it for 75 zloty. But you also get a free course book as well and postage. If you're outside of Poland in Euroland and you want the course book, then that comes to 105 zloty. It's a little bit more expensive sending things outside of Poland. But nevertheless, it's about 22 to 24 euros. So if you compare the prices to the textbooks on eBay, for example, you'll see that the textbooks go for around about 30 euros. Well, I'm giving you 3 months access, brand new course book and postage for a lot less than that. So if you sign up, of course, you can send me your writing exercises. I will mark them for you, as I said, and I will get them back to you with plenty of constructive criticism. Okay, so that's it for today. Hopefully I've shown you some great resources that you will use, that you'll look at that information, take it on board and get better marks in your CAE reviews and your FCE reviews as a result. I'll see you again tomorrow morning, nice and bright and early, where we'll have a look at a listening question. See you then.